Bentley was founded by Walter Owen Bentley in 1919. He came from a wealthy London family and was the youngest of 9 children. In 1912, him and his brother founded a company that imported the French DFP car to the United Kingdom. He soon took these racing in order to promote his company, but following World War I, he wanted to develop his own car. In 1921, Bentley released the 3-litre, their first production car. They built over 1,600 of these. They were a top-spec sports car that could hit 100 miles an hour. It won the Le Mans in 1924 and 1927. In 1928, they won with a 4.5-litre, and then again in 1929 and 1930 in the Speed 6. It would take them another 73 years after this to win the Le Mans again. 1927 saw the introduction of the 4.5-litre. It came standard with 110 horsepower, but as of 1929, it became available with a supercharger, known as the Blower Bentley. It had 175 horsepower, or up to 240 in race spec. It made Bentley more competitive with models from Fiat, Alfa Romeo and Mercedes that had been using superchargers since the early 1920s. In 1930, Bentley releases the 8 litres, a 5.4 metre long luxury car powered by an 8-litre 6-cylinder that developed 220 horsepower. 100 were built, however 9 months into production, Bentley went bankrupt, making the 8-litre the last Bentley model released from an independent Bentley. In 1931, the courts appointed a receiver to Bentley. The found buyer for the company was the British Central Equitable Trust. In reality, this was Rolls-Royce. The deal was signed without Walter Bentley knowing the true identity of the buyer. This was due to Rolls-Royce wanting control of Bentley, as the 8 litres was the main competitor to the second-generation Rolls-Royce Phantom. In 1933, Henry Royce of Rolls-Royce dies. Later that year, Bentley revealed the 3.5-litre, a sports car based on the Rolls-Royce 2025. Despite mixed Rolls-Royce-Bentley relations at the time, it's reported that Walter Owen Bentley confessed he'd rather own the Rolls-Royce developed 3.5-litre model than any of the models he'd released when Bentley was an independent company. In 1935, Walter Bentley left the company and joined Lagonda. From then on until 2004, all Bentleys released were essentially badge-engineered Rolls-Royce models, such as the Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud-derived Bentley S-Series range that ran from 1955 until 1965, and the succeeding T-Series that ran until 1980, itself just a development of the Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow. In 1971, Rolls-Royce went bankrupt. Bentley joined it in being nationalised by the government. By the early 1980s, Bentley was struggling to market its models alongside Rolls-Royce's, leaving it only 5% of the combined sales that Rolls-Royce and it were receiving at the time. In 1998, Bentley was bought out by the Volkswagen Group, and at the same time, Rolls-Royce was bought out by BMW. BMW had the upper hand with engine development and bought out its independently developed Mark VII Phantom flagship model by 2003, while Bentley had to continue selling its Rolls-Royce Silver Seraph-derived Arnage model right up until 2010. 2003 saw the introduction of the Continental, a range of Grand Tourers powered by a 6-litre twin-turbo V12 that would sit below the Arnage in Bentley's product range. With 550 horsepower, it could hit 197 miles an hour and hit 60 in under 5 seconds. It was Bentley's first mass-produced model, with 100,000 being built. Despite being a relatively new design, it can be had today for as little as £12,000. In 2010, Bentley launched the Mulsanne. It was Bentley's first independently developed car since the 8-litre from the 1930s. It was also the last ever car fitted with Rolls-Royce's L-Series 6.75-litre V8. In 2020, when the Mulsanne ceased production, the L-Series V8 came to an end. Its 60-year production run was the longest of any engine in history. In 2015, Bentley introduced the Bentayga, their first ever SUV. It was also the first ever diesel car, and as of 2018, it was available with a plug-in hybrid. Recently, after 9 years on sale, they've dropped the W12 engine, leaving the Bentayga unable to compete with Rolls-Royce's more expensive twin-turbo V12 Cullinan model, which is a much more powerful car and costs nearly twice as much. The Bentayga, now that it's a V8 or a plug-in hybrid, is a rival to the Range Rover and the Mercedes G-Wagon. 2018 saw the release of the third generation Bentley Continental. While the second generation was essentially a facelift of the first, the third one had an all-new body and upgraded engines. In 2024, they dropped the 12-cylinder model to help meet emission targets and is now only available as a hybrid.